Okay, Marcy.
Welcome, everyone. Everyone looks well. Everyone survived. Everyone made it. This is the Ojai Arts Commission meeting, May 21st, 2020 at 5 p.m. And let's start with a roll call, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Chisholm?
Present.
Commissioner Harmon?
Present.
Commissioner Gilman is absent. Commissioner Golden?
Here.
Commissioner Zaringer?
Here.
Chair Tosher?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that's that. And then let's see. Linda, do you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Pretending
I don't have a flag. I have a flag.
We'll still do it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
But if I stand up, you won't see me. So
That's okay.
if
I'm
I
actually
stand
gonna.
up-
I'm the one.
Okay,
I'll stand
all right, well,
up for
stand up.
on your behalf.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the
United States of America,
One
and to the republic for which it stands,
America.
One
One
nation
under God,
justice.
this indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Sometimes.
With the
That was
lag.
strange.
Okay. Yeah, this is the portion this is the time on the agenda where we call for public comments. And since we're meeting virtually, the comments were to have been submitted by 5 p.m. Via email. And as of 5 p.m., we did not receive any public comments. So from here, we'll just proceed. And I just wanted to remind you what Joe said. We're all going on mute now, except for me. And when I call on you or when I mention your name and it's your turn to talk, he'll unmute you. So hopefully this will work out. So the first item on the agenda are consent items. We're looking at the minutes from, God, it feels like 20 years ago.
Oh, hold on, just 1 second.
Unmute me.
I did. I muted all, and then I unmuted Commissioner Tosher.
All right, start over again.
So, I think we have Commissioner Golden is Commissioner Tosher. Would you like to call on Commissioner Golden?
Christine again.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay.
Point of order. There's no place where I see approval of the minutes. Have I missed it?
I was talking about it, but I was on mute, so I'm going to repeat it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Under consent
I have
items.
corrections.
So under consent items, only one item, and that is to review and approve the minutes from the February 20th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review it? Does anyone have a comment or correction? Christine?
Okay, give me one second, Commissioner. Okay, there we go.
On page 3 of 5, at the top of the page, number 4. I'm sorry, at the bottom of the page, I, recommendation.
Yeah.
It says, authorize additional $300 payment to Carlos Grasso. And then at the end, it says, Chair Tosher noted the funds would be available from the Public Art Committee budget. That's incorrect. It's the Public Art Fund that paid for this. And that's really an important correction to make.
Okay,
That's all.
Okay, yeah, good catch.
thank you.
Okay, so with those minutes being approved, I wanted to talk about the committee assignments. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review their committee assignments. And I'll open it up to comments if you have any suggestions or any comment about what I've got. Yes, Linda Harmon.
Okay, one moment, Linda. Okay.
Yeah.
You may speak.
I missed the vote on the, don't we need to formally approve the minutes?
Did we need a formal vote on that, Joe?
We can do a voice. We don't need to do a roll call.
Okay.
Okay, let me
Unmute everyone.
unmute all. Okay, and Commissioner Tosher can
Yeah, okay.
call for a vote. Call for a motion. Call for a motion.
Can someone
Oh,
pose the
I
motion?
move that we accept the minutes as read with the exception of Christine's amendment.
Second?
I'll second.
And vote? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right.
And now I'm gonna mute everybody again. And then I'm going to unmute
Well, did anyone
the
have
chair.
or the
Okay.
committee assignments? No, everyone's cool with that? Okay. All right.
Okay, Commissioner or Chair Tosher, just for clarification, that's both documents, the work teams by commissioners, and then,
Yeah, I organized it two ways, one by each committee and listed the members of each committee. And then I also listed it by commissioner. And I don't know if you could see that. Where did it go? Oh, it disappears. By commissioner, what you're a member of. So for easier reference.
okay, I just needed that for my clarification. Okay.
Just for easier reference. Next is the budget. Did everyone have a chance to review the proposed budget? I think what I'll do is I'll go to each person for a comment about the budget if you have one.
Proposed budget should be the last document in the in your packet.
Yeah, it's not labeled, but it looks like,
It starts with grants.
wait, I'm gonna take this off, this background, because you can't. All right, it looks like this. Can you see it, or is there glare? It's a graph like that, not titled. Linda,
Okay, one moment.
I didn't get a packet.
it was.
I got online the agenda with a couple documents, but I didn't get that packet.
It should have been emailed to you, Joe.
Yes, the packets were emailed to the commissioners and also asked if anyone needed one delivered. If you look at the, do you have the link which I sent with the invitation?
Which one? The first one or the second one?
The
First
second
one?
one through the calendar link.
The second one.
That should have had an attachment also.
Everyone else, just raise your hand. Did everyone else get their attachments? Okay. Well, how can we get these to?
I can email them to you right this second.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So
I
everyone,
don't see it.
actually, so everyone pull out this. It's not captioned. And then there's the Arts Commission budget, the balance. Because they kind of, you can see what I'm doing if you look at both of those documents. Christine. Yeah, Christine.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to mute Commissioner Harmon. I'm going to unmute Commissioner Golden.
Okay, so this one of the current budget is incorrect. It needs to be adjusted. It's got an expenditure under Public Art Committee. There were no expenditures under Public Art Committee. This is not good that someone has allocated some other expenses against a public art budget. We spent no money this year. There's $1,000 balance that needs to be investigated.
Okay, just for as a point of correction, we are currently discussing next year's budget, and then we'll get.
We're discussing this budget, the current budget. the report of the Arts Commission budgets. The sheet, not Marcy's proposal.
The budget balance.
Right.
Okay, Arts Commission, May 2020, budget balance.
Yes, it's incorrect under public art. It should
Yeah,
be-
I had asked you about that, Joe. Why something was deducted. We've spent no money.
Oh, I'd like this mailed to me when it's corrected, email, the correct one.
Okay,
Please.
under Public Art Committee, budget amendment.
This is stressful.
Okay, so you can see that this year we were budgeted a total of $43,250, and and reflecting that 235405, we've spent 31,785, but it's really less than that. It's more like around $33,000. So now I think we could talk about the proposed budget for this year. Thinking about what we've spent so far for that fiscal year that ends in June 2020. So, we're all aware of the situation with the city and lack of TOT, lack of sales tax, just because of the whole shutdown. So the city's running at a deficit right now, but things will hopefully open up and we'll get more monies coming in. So I'm gonna, I have a request, a total amount of $35,000 for the budget that would run from June of this year till June of next year. And I requested money for grants because a lot of the artists are hurting. So I thought that was important. I kept in the same amount for a mentor program. Awards is down to $250 because I don't think those plaques are much money. $750, we didn't spend that. Acquisitions, I discussed this with Linda, and we felt like that would be kind of really wishful thinking to acquire a piece of art during this time. Public relations, $1,000. Hopefully that will be for a new platform and work on a new platform for the website and any other additional things. We want to run anything in the OVN or whatever like that. Museum is at $1,500, which is the same as it was this year. I think they count on that money. I don't know. City Gallery was $3,000 down to $750 because Linda and I noticed we're not spending $3,000 in City Gallery. Arts education, we're not doing a book or anything educationally this year. We've spent no money so far, so I'm not requesting anything. And the Public Art Committee, we've had for 2 years running now, $1,000. We're not spending much. And then the city wants from us every year $1,000 to help subsidize their copying machine and office supplies and stuff like that. So does anyone have any comments or questions or changes? Linda?
Okay, give me a second.
And then Nigel.
Okay, Linda.
The mentor, are we going ahead with that? I thought we decided that we couldn't do that this year.
Well, we're not doing it. The money was already allocated for this year, and we're not doing it. So I'm asking for it for next year, which would start
Oh, I thought
in February. And Sammy, maybe Sammy, you want to chime in on that?
Okay, hold on. Give me just 1 second.
Unmute Sammy.
I guess I'm confused.
Yes.
Okay,
so,
Sammy's unmuted and Linda's unmuted.
as far as I understand, we're not going to spend any money this year on the mentor program. It's scrapped basically for the year. It can only really be done in the summer. So this would be for the 2021 budget.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, are we looking ahead to 2021 or are we doing 2020 now?
2021. See, if this had a caption on it, you'd see that it was proposed budget 2021.
Yeah.
There's no
So
caption on it.
did Commissioner Harmon, did you get the email that I just sent?
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. Thank you.
Yeah, so the last.
I guess I did. I must have seen this at some point. I must have gotten it and I just didn't, I printed what I thought I got and I guess I didn't.
Christine, Nigel's next. Nigel had his hand, then you.
Okay. Does Commissioner Harmon or Commissioner Zaringer have any other comments?
the only thing, it's not to do with the mentor program, but it's just as far as the public relations committee goes. I couldn't think of anything to add to what the platform expanding thing that Andy's going to do.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything else to add to that, because we just don't know what we're going to have to advertise and what we're not.
Right.
So
right, and I yeah. Andy said that he would need $275 to switch out the platform,
right,
for the website, and then I figured that $750 would be give us a little bit of wiggle room to do any kind of print advertising or whatever.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nigel.
Okay, let me mute Commissioner Harmon and Saringer and unmute Commissioner Chisholm. Okay, Nigel.
Hi. The only thing I've got to add is about the awards. We were asked at the last meeting, or I think I stated at the last meeting, it was such a long time ago, that there may have been some awards that were still hidden somewhere at City Hall. Do you remember that?
I remember that we thought that maybe what's her name? Stockpiled a bunch, bought a bulk.
Oh, the blank.
Yeah.
I believe we might have some blank awards. Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's news to me, which would be good news. I spoke to Amber, and she said she didn't think there were any. So, Joe, if you know if there are some, then that, from what I can see, that art awards thing is never used at $750 until you need to buy a heap of awards. So unless we can reassign some money to other areas, which I don't know if we're legally allowed to do, Joe, but apparently something's happened with the Public Arts Committee, which has got Mrs. Goldenall in a tizzy.
From what I understand is we do have, we bought a stack of actual plaques, and we have, when we give an award, we print out, we send it to the trophy company to do a plaque, the actual plaque that goes on the award.
I understand. How many of those a year do we give out?
Well, potentially 2 if we do a Hope Fraser.
Right. So all I'm saying is we don't need $750 for that.
We can reduce that.
So if we're in a time of trying to not spend money,
right,
and make sure the city can get back on track,
right,
I don't think we need more than $250 in that account.
Yeah,
how much are the plaques, Joe?
I think they're very $50 or $75 or something.
So if we said $200, that would.
I'd go ahead and leave it at $250, just to give us a little cushion.
All right, so let's bump that down.
Okay. Let me. I believe you had said.
Oh, you know what? I requested.
Yes.
I requested $250. I didn't request $750.
It's within there. Yes.
I requested $250, so we'll leave it at $250.
Okay.
Bam. Thanks.
Let me mute Commissioner.
Yeah, I've just got to ask Sammy to put something behind it, because she has the most boring backdrop in the entire world. Touch the screen, Sammy.
Okay.
Second most.
Thank you, Nigel.
Mine's not great.
Christine was next, and then
Okay, hold on. Okay, Commissioner Golden.
I think I have to go all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, because I think the confusion is that I'm going back to mentor. It doesn't work within a fiscal calendar year, 2020. Correct. It's 2019, 2020. It's 2020, 2021. So that's the confusion that we had at the beginning, is that I think what you're saying is we're on hold for 2019, 2020, Sammy, and it's 2020, 2021 that you're asking for the money for that year. Am I correct? Because it wasn't clear when you put it. It's not January to January.
That's correct, because
June is July to June.
Correct.
It's the way they do accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. Linda, thank you.
Okay.
Linda.
Hold
so that might help.
Okay, Linda, go ahead.
Am I okay to talk? Yeah, I was not reading the chart correctly. You've got two lines for each entry, and one is for 2019 and one is for 2019, 2020.
Yeah,
correct?
I wanted to show the history. This was more for the purposes of maybe city council when
Correct.
It's presented, to show what the history has been over the years.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the bottom line where she says request,
That's requested for 20.
And each box has a line that says request. That's her current request.
For 2021.
For the remainder of this year, not 2021? Because it runs from July to
June.
No, July to June, right?
Correct. July 1st to June 30th.
But the mentor program gears up in March, April, right, Sammy? Yeah. But it actually is carried out during the summers, which would be 2021.
Correct. That's
okay, so this date isn't right then. So we're not asking for that money for this, the rest of the...
No.
Okay.
The request would begin, the monies would be allocated starting next month and run through.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
But the expenditure won't take place until
next year.
A year from now, basically.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, are we good?
Well, that's why I'm kind of confused, because according to what Christine said, if we start, so that this year's funds are not going to be used, period.
Right.
And aren't those funds from 2019 to 2020?
Right.
Those funds that we're not using.
We would have been using them now, but we're not.
Okay.
So
we're not using any money for that at all
this fiscal year.
Okay.
And it doesn't carry over. None of these expenditures, their unspent funds carry over.
Correct.
Okay.
Use it or lose it.
Okay.
Okay, we good?
Thank you.
Christine?
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I just have a question about the whole thing here. And I'm just trying to guess at what your really your idea is in going ahead and asking for a lot of money for grants and even money for the mentor program. And I'm just going back in history that when the city had problems in the past, we got zero budget.
Okay, well,
now let me finish my thought. So is your idea better ask and have them say no, as opposed to give a budget that really makes sense considering what has happened with tax receipts?
But I'm also hearing,
and I'm curious to know what other people think. Is this a good idea to put out we used to get $9,000 for grants. Now it's gone up.
But you can tell, going back all the way to 2016, we get 25,000, 25,000.
Yeah, it went up over time because the city had the tax receipts. But this is more like, what is our philosophy? Do we want to go forward and ask for all this money knowing they don't have it? Or do we want to not do that?
Let's let them decide.
I'm curious what other people think.
I will ask that. My thinking is that I've been hearing from a lot of artists who are struggling right now. Yeah. There's a lot of hurt out there in the community. And either the city values supporting to the extent we can. This is really the only way we directly support artists.
Yeah, but can we even do the mentor program? Can we have people get together with kids? Can we have grants?
At least the money will be allocated. We either do it or we don't. Like this year, we didn't. So at least if the money's allocated, we have the option. Okay.
What is our best approach?
Okay.
To be cognizant of we're not going to be doing those programs, so don't ask for the money, or ask for the money in case all of a sudden everything.
No harm, no foul. Thoughts? Does anyone want to share some thought? Linda.
I was going to ask Joe, you're in on the budget meetings. What do you think is the best? The reason I didn't for any acquisitions is because I figured they wouldn't have it. So
I think this is a good approach. I think because there will be a budget for the Arts Commission. It'll be reduced from last year. Which
the request is.
Correct. We are proposing a budget for the Arts Commission. The city council may change that when they adopt the budget, but so I can't promise anything. However, I can tell you that we are making a recommendation, and these numbers seem in line with that recommendation. So I think this is a good approach to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what you had to say, because I know Marcy and I had discussed it as a budget committee already. And that's why I agree. I think if we're going to put money into the budget, it should be to working artists, and the grants is a working artist, and the mentors are both working artists. The acquisitions, it is also, but we did get 2 pieces this year. So, no, we didn't either. Never mind. I don't know. I kind of agree, I guess, is my thinking.
Okay. Oh, Sammy.
Okay. Give me just 1 second here.
You unmute. One minute. We learn sign language.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do too. I think that the fact is we just don't know what will happen next year. It could be absolutely possible for, you know, a mentor and a student to meet, and then if we don't have the program in place, you know, that would be a pity, because it's such a good program.
Right.
Really a lot of, and also I'm definitely in favor of the grants for artists. So if we can get a budget for that, I think it should be, that's where we should focus our ask from City Hall. So that's, I mean, I guess I like this approach, and I think it makes sense, because we are the Arts Commission. We're supposed to, we're an artistic community. Our missive is to support the arts community as far as we can, and this is an opportunity to do it if we have a budget for it. But and Joe says we'll have a budget, so we'll just work with what we get.
All right, great, thank you. Do we need an official vote on this, Joe? Approving this to move forward to City Council? And then Nigel.
I believe Commissioner Chisholm wants to talk, but we can have a vote on that. So let me unmute Commissioner Chisholm. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Joe, just very briefly. We've been closed for 3 months, so the city will be closed for basically 3 months, losing that revenue. So right. I suspect that the budget is going to be down by at least 25%. This year for the city as a whole. Would I be about right then?
That's correct. That is correct.
So is our budget that we're proposing for the Arts Commission 25% less than last year?
Last year was 43,250. This year is 35,000, so 8,000.
So it's about
20%. It's about 20%.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, we're pretty close.
Pretty close, and it really is such a small budget. So it's any small amount is a percentage.
I think negotiating style, just generally, it would be good for the City Council to see that we're trying to work within the parameters that they're working with too. So that's my take on that.
Linda, thank you, Nigel. Linda.
Okay, one moment. Okay.
Don't hear her.
We don't hear you, Linda. Hold on.
She's not unmuted.
Unmute. I'm sorry.
I can try.
Okay, Linda, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So should I have put something in for acquisitions then? I don't know. I mean,
I don't think so. I think we're already, we're about 20% reduction from last year.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the revenue, the percentage that they're down. So I think that would be pushing it. And usually most of our acquisitions, and actually we can talk about that later. You're up on the agenda, Linda, about acquisitions, but they're usually more established artists, Okay.
We didn't have any. Do we have any left in the budget this year for it though?
We had zero.
I knew we were moving some around.
That's what I wasn't sure. We have some unspent money. We have, well, I mean, there's money that hasn't been spent. For instance, City Gallery, we had allotted $3,000. We only spent $234. And we lose the $2,765 if we don't spend it by June. I don't know if that's something we'd be able to do.
We're not
I
going
think we
to.
talked about this before. I think we
Yeah.
talked about this before, Joe. No?
We did, and I don't believe that there'll be any support to
Okay.
spend any of
All
that outstanding.
Yeah. All right.
is
Well,
outstanding.
we don't want to outwear our welcome.
So that's 2 years that we haven't acquired anything. That's
Right.
what I was
Right.
asking.
Right.
That's the only reason I'm asking if we should include
Right.
something or not.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm okay with that. It's up
Okay.
to you guys, whatever
Okay.
the consensus is.
Okay.
So
So are we all good moving forward with this proposed budget for 2020, 2021? Okay, great. Do we need a vote, Joe? Raise of hands.
Yeah, we should at least have a raise of hands
All right,
by
motion.
consensus.
Someone wanna, Sammy?
Unmute everybody when the motion happens.
I did.
I'm just going to suggest to leave everybody on unmute because it's just so much problems with the muting the way you don't have the button apparently, Joe, to just click it.
Okay, if everyone's on their
Leave
best
everybody
behavior.
unmuted because it's slowing the whole thing down.
Okay.
But I'll make a motion to approve the budget that Marcy has submitted without change.
second,
All right. All right, so we'll move
second.
forward with that budget. Thank you very much. Okay. Next on the agenda, Sammy, I'd love you to talk about the mentor program. We kind of already touched on it, but if you have anything to add to what we've already said. Oh, she's muted.
I unmuted all. Hold on.
No, well, Sammy is
Sammy is
unmuted.
She might have muted herself, I believe.
Sammy, go down to the lower left-hand corner where the mute thing is and click on that lower left-hand corner, all the way to the left.
The microphone on the bottom?
it's in different places.
There's a microphone.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see here.
Got it.
There you go.
Yeah. So I had a thing saying the host was not allowing me to unmute, but okay, unmuted. So basically, there were some tentative, applications for on the artist side, but we hadn't put anything out obviously for the student side yet. So basically, there's really nothing to shut down. It kind of shut
Never
down.
happened.
Yeah. So I've spoken to the artists that were interested, and said this isn't going to happen this year, but stay tuned. And
Yeah, good.
so
Okay.
right next year.
Thank you, Sammy. Okay. Linda, art acquisitions. We've kind of already touched on that too, though.
Yeah, do you want me to give like a little report on what's been going on?
And
So
everyone
everybody's
should
on
have
the-
a list of the potential acquisitions, the names of the artists that we would acquire
Right.
art
So
from.
we all have that. I was just gonna kind of talk about the documentation of the collection. So I just typed something up really quick. I'll read it. City Gallery Archive has been completed. All work has been photographed and archived in the Ojai Valley Museum's Past Perfect program. And both the museum and the city have a signed hard copy of all pieces with photographs, location, and numbers. The photographs are not professional and will be updated as better photographs can be taken. All photos so far have been uploaded to Google Docs under city collection file with the date of acquisition, the artist, and the title of the piece. And Joe is the keeper of the book. It will reside in his office. Dropped it off with him. And then every time a piece is either moved from one collection, from the museum to the city hall, if we rotate the exhibits, it will be signed out by both the city and the museum. So it's all undocumented, and each piece has a document that follows it. The second part of that is the Continuing Care Center for Ojai Valley Community Memorial Hospital, Satellite Gallery. Barbara Hirsch has taken possession of the following pieces, and contracts are in the city book. They have 3 pieces by Susan Stimulanson Almond, 1 by Richard Almond, 1 by Sherry Lohr. They picked 2 from Phil Harvey, 1 by Diane Bennett, 1 by Gail Childress, and 1 by Marta Nelson. Barbara met with me over at the museum, we had the paperwork signed. She has taken them all to the framer because they need to be framed differently for the hospital. Now, they'll have them for a period of 3 years, and at that point, they'll be signed back into the collection, and they will be reframed the way we had them framed for the collection. So that's all been taken care of. And then the acquisition list you all got a copy of. So those are the 3 things I just wanted to go over, let you know where we're at with that. So that's in pretty good shape. So.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Sammy,
it.
this might be something that you want to, if you're doing a to-do list for publicity, that the city of Ojai's from our permanent collection is on loan to the Community Memorial Hospital. And
Okay.
they haven't been installed yet, and they haven't had their opening yet, have they, Linda? But when they have their opening, that might be a good feature, something to publicize.
Yeah.
Right. Got
I
it.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah. When is there a time schedule on that, or that's just still up in the air too?
Not yet. Barbara said they don't really know. They don't know how long it's going to take to frame them. They don't know when they're going to have a reception or anything. It's not on the docket. She said she would let us know. So she's pretty good about that. I'll keep a. Oh.
I have a question about what the reframing of them. Did is that a hospital requirement? Are they requiring that, or?
Yes. It's
okay.
ADA, is that the requirement? It's special requirement for being hung in a hospital. Like everything has to be under site safety glass.
Not flammable and all that.
Oh, yeah, I see. Got it. Yeah.
They're handling it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Christine.
I'd like to add someone's name to the potential acquisitions list.
Okay.
And that's the artist Jim Menzel Joseph, who passed away this last January. I don't know if we can get his piece. I was hoping we could get it at the time, but COVID.
Jim Menzel.
And his partner had one landscape of the Ojai Valley, a stunning landscape. If it isn't sold, that's going to be a problem. I don't know if you can make a case to city council. It could be the only time we get
to buy it. Unless we.
So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to point out that Richard Rackus is also someone who's deceased, and we should seriously think about getting a piece while we still can. And then I want to add the name of the photographer, David
Baker,
because he died as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be good to look at some of those folks and try to get them before their pieces disappear or go up in price.
We might want to, yes, Joe.
Christine, can you spell the name of the first person you mentioned?
Oh, how about if I email it to you? It's real complicated.
That'll be perfect.
Hyphenated name. I'll email you.
Okay.
Linda, you
yes. Well, I was just going to say we don't have a budget to look at those people right now. It could be added.
You can add them to the list, right?
But you know what? We could maybe put this on a future agenda, that there is a provision in the Public Art Ordinance, or if people want to donate art, it goes through a whole vetting process and all that.
Yeah, you just can't donate. There's a whole thing.
No, you can donate.
Governed by the ordinance. It's actually governed by the ordinance.
Right, it's governed by the ordinance, but if some benefactor, some generous person like Tony Thatcher does with the museum, he buys art and then he donates it.
Yeah, but we don't just accept art that people donate. You have to look at the ordinance and take a real good look at that.
That's what I said, Christine, that it would have to comply with the ordinance and go through the procedures of the ordinance.
Which means people can't just donate.
No.
Right.
Linda?
Yeah, pertaining to both your comments, there is a outline that me wrote up when we did the ordinance, and there's a copy of the donation policy in the handbook that Joe has.
So we would abide by that.
We could talk about that at a future committee meeting then.
I would put that on a future agenda item, or it could be a committee meeting.
Probably a committee meeting first.
Yeah. All right. Linda, would you like to talk about City Gallery? Well, unfortunately, we have a beautiful show up, but
no one can see it.
Staff is enjoying it. Sorry to interrupt, but the staff is very much enjoying it.
Yeah, really happy. Yeah. Right now we have the work of Andrea Hafner and Deborah Lyon. Andrea does these beautiful resin and metal frame pieces of nature. I don't know how else to describe them. They're beautiful, delicate. It's like a frozen in time, beautiful, beautiful work. And they're very sculptural. If anybody gets a chance, we hope we can have a reception for the both of them in the not too distant future. And then with her work is Deborah Lyon's beautiful photography. They work great together. We're very happy. They all hung. Marcy and I went and helped them hang the show. They did a fabulous job.
It's
it just
fantastic.
looks absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wish we could purchase one of each of their pieces. They're just beautiful. But they have agreed, bless them, to let it stay up, at least for the time being. They'll let me know if there's a problem and they need their work back, but they're going to allow us to keep it up there. And as far as the rest of the city gallery, for the rest of the year, we had it all scheduled out. And we had a mentor show up there, and we had the studio artist scholarship show in there, and we had, Mary Neville was in there, Carol Shaw Sutton, all great shows. We're excited about all of them, but they're all, the mentor show isn't going to happen this year. And I don't think the also show will happen either. And then we'll just kind of waiting to see when we open back up, if we can go ahead and have a reception for this show, give them some time, and then we'll reschedule the others. And I have spoke with Mary Neville and Carol Shaw Sutton. They're both willing to wait, and hang loose with us. So that was good. So we're excited about that. So it worked out.
Thank you,
And
Linda.
that's about it, I think.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda was the website for Andy to give us an update, but he's not here, and I didn't get anything from him. But following that, I have Sammy, I have you down for print media. So I'll lump all those together as public relations if you want to talk at all about public relations, any ideas you might have, what's in the works.
Well, really what we discussed last time at the meeting, Andy and I we sort of clarified roles a bit better, I think. But there's really nothing to report, I haven't reported anything. I haven't written. What I did want to know about was, what are we doing about Gay Jones? Are we going to have some sort of a virtual thing for her? Or?
Yeah, that June, what, Joe? June
26th, June 26th, I believe.
Okay.
It'll be a Zoom deal.
Sammy, we've always done a OVN article on the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement.
Oh, that would be good, Sam.
Yeah. I guess I was just waiting to hear when we were doing it or what we're doing. Yeah, I've kind of got it half written. I just don't know.
Okay. All right. So now you have a date. So we're
June 23rd. We're targeting the 23rd.
June 23rd.
June 23rd.
The website, the OVN, wherever else you want, Facebook, wherever.
Sure. Yeah. I can get that out. So is that going to be a city council thing?
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right.
Joe, can you email?
From city council. What? Linda?
Joe, can you email Sammy with the date and time of the Zoom meeting if people want to be
that'd be good.
part of tune in?
Correct.
And then maybe she could get that in the paper the Friday before.
Right. And I did hear in some internal discussion that we may be, by that time, we might be going to back to regular meetings.
Whoa.
Wow.
With separate chairs, separated and whatnot.
First come, first serve.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I kick in? Can I kick in there for a second?
Yes.
Joe, you've answered part of that question, that you may be going back to regular meetings. And I suppose, having seen the final of American Idol on Zoom, which was terrible, I'm wondering if there's an incredible rush to do the same thing for Gay, or if we couldn't just postpone it until there are regular meetings.
She's been postponed so many times before.
Does one more time matter?
I think Nigel makes a good point.
Oh, no, it would be much better. Definitely.
I would propose, honestly, that we just wait until she can get it in person. I think that is so much more important than just getting it on a Zoom. I really do. There's no urgency at all, unless there's an urgency that's required, Joe, by the articles that we have to abide by.
No,
I don't see the urgency.
We're already so far behind schedule anyway. It's fine. I just don't want her to be disappointed because we've postponed it at least a couple of times, and she's probably told people and all of that. So
let me address that.
You know what? You're the chair of the awards committee. Maybe you want to communicate with Gay and explain to her.
I can't.
Your thoughts about it.
From where I stand, I think the conversation is an easy one. Is Gay, we want to honour you properly and correctly, and we can't do that over Zoom. So when the city council is back up and running, we would like to do that appropriately in front of the city council, where anybody who wants to come support you can support you in person. And I think that is much more valuable than doing it over Zoom.
So I do too.
Cool. Yeah.
I really support what Nigel is saying, and I think with Nigel having been a recent recipient of this award, that he really understands how powerful that is to be in the city chambers and receive that award live. So I think it makes it more special for her.
Yeah, really good point, Nigel.
Yeah, it is powerful to be recognised by your city. It truly is. My daughter was there. That's awesome. So Gay should be afforded the same opportunity to have somebody there that is meaningful to her. This Zoom just isn't the same.
Yeah. Linda had a comment?
Yeah. Joe, can that be coordinated through the city? Do you know? I mean, are you announcing this June 23rd thing, or?
It has not been announced yet. But I was just actually, as we're having this conversation, I went back to my emails, and Ms. Jones is the one who suggested Zoom back in April 24th. She asked for a virtual honor. So she's okay with it. It was actually her idea. But maybe just a conversation between Commissioner Chisholm and her, just to find out what she really wants.
I'm happy to talk to her, email her, and Joe, if you can provide me with a phone number. I do have her email because I've been on stage with her as the director before now, so we do have a connection. But a telephone conversation would be more appropriate, I think.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Next thing, actually, Nigel, you can keep talking because we're going to talk about the next Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, there's nothing to report really. There's been no conversations over and above the initial conversations that I had with the people there. I think we are getting to a point now where we need to get this taken care of. So I think in the next week or so, I'll start communications again tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't come up with a list.
I put a list in there's an attachment. I sent it.
Yeah, I got it. I'm looking at it right now.
And if anyone wants to add to it the previous names that we considered, just email Nigel.
Yeah.
If you have any other names you want to add.
Yeah. Kick in everybody, and then I'll communicate with whoever's on the on that committee with me, and we'll go from there. But it is something that needs to be taken care of now, because I do recall the conversation we had previously about the time.
We're way behind schedule,
so there's no reason why we can't get this dealt with appropriately.
Do you think we could vote next meeting, Nigel?
Oh yeah,
we could
absolutely.
Vote on next? Okay.
Absolutely. How many people would you like to have presented to the Arts Commission?
Last time we did what, 3?
Okay.
3 or 5, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep. We'll have that ready for a vote.
Okay. Perfect.
Week.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Christine, would you like to talk about the public art program?
Are we there already? Oh, geez.
Yeah, we're there already.
All right. Yeah, public art program. Joe and I have been working to get the mural ordinance to city council. And I think we're as close as, we're really close. I think that might happen in the month of June, which would be really wonderful to have a mural ordinance adopted. I just recently sent the application that would partner the mural ordinance, because last time city council wanted to see an application. So I think we're almost ready to go. We want to launch virtual public art tours, and we want to make a big, huge deal out of this because we think it would be fabulous for people who are sheltering at home and are tired of television or whatever, that they can actually take a virtual public art tour. And so I've been working with Andy to get all the information up on the website. I gave him a thumb drive. It has all the information on it. And we're just tweaking it now, just a little tweaking. And I think it's going to be ready next week for us to advertise that, like, for example, on the marquee, there could be letters that say, board, ? Take a virtual public art tour, and then have the website on it to really, and this is an opportunity for us that the public will see what they don't know is here, which is, this, it's over 45 pieces of public art in Ojai. And they're all there. They're all there, or almost all there on the website. So once that's done, Sammy, we're going to need some focused public relations. We're going to need Facebook article. We're going to need an article for the OVN on it. We're going to need the hub to advertise it and the marquee to advertise it. And Joe, if you can make a list of all these to go into the minutes, that would be great, because we want to follow up and make sure this all gets done. I'll take care of working with Luis on the city website to get it up there. And I'm going to go see Jamie Fleming at the Chamber of Commerce and see if Jamie wants to somehow come on board with this, because it's a way to market Ojai virtually right now. And, he can help with letting people who are staying at the different inns know that they can take these virtual tours. So I just think that's very, very exciting. And I would invite any of you, if you have other ideas about how we can market this, so people really will see that this is something they can do while they're at home. We wanted to be able to show it to you tonight, but it isn't quite ready on the website yet. We wanted to show you how fabulous it is.
And seen.
Any ideas about how else we might market it? Just the things I've said.
Is this like a spoken tour? Like are you standing in front and presenting the art, or is it sort of
virtual public art tour? So you go to the Ojai Arts Ojai website, and you click on public art tours, and it's all there. The photographs, the write-up. And Sammy, I'll email you this more. I won't take time here. But if you do the tours virtually yourself, you'll know what to put in.
Got it. Okay. All right.
And you'll have fun. I think you'll have a lot of fun during this. I really am going to ask that all of you do the virtual public art tour so that you know what it is that you have responsibility for. It's a big part of your role on the Arts Commission is those public art pieces. You should know what they are. So, and I think you'll have a lot of fun doing it. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay. So the other announcement is the Shell station, which used to be Valero, qualified for public art. And we're going to be, Capital will be hearing their proposal fairly soon, I think before the June meeting. And the Capri project, which you already approved, one of the artists dropped out. There were 3 different artists dropped out. And so we're in the process now of rehearing part of that proposal. And that's going to be an interesting CAPA meeting as well. We'll keep you informed. So that's my report on the public art program. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'll recognize myself next to talk about grants. So I asked all of you to contact the grantee that you were assigned when we were awarding the grants to find out how they were doing, if they were able to make any headway at all with their projects. And almost all of them, with the exception of, I think, Kim Maxwell, who said she can do a lot of her stuff online, virtually, on the phone, whatever. She was making progress. But the rest of them required students, or they would be able to accomplish what they needed to accomplish with social distancing and all of those matters and all of those safety measures and the schools being out and all of that. So what I'd like to do is have the commission decide if we want to appeal to City Council to authorize us to extend the deadline. The deadline was December 31st of this year for them to accomplish their grants, their work on their grants. We could extend it into a date in 2021.
I think it's important to note that the money has already been given to everybody. They've already got the money. And I also want to say that the project that I was responsible for is going forward, which is the mural on the side of the elementary preschool building on Montgomery. Ray Powers and superintendent of schools are moving forward with that. So that one is not on hold, and it should be complete in a couple months.
How can they do that? Because part of the deal with that was students were going to work on the mural.
Yes, they are. They will practice social distancing, and it will be 1 or 2 students at a time working on this huge wall. So I trust the superintendent of schools on this, that she would not put her students in harm's way.
Okay. Linda?
I had the music festival's Bravo program, and they hadn't received any monies yet.
Well, Joe, I believe you tracked it down, and finance said that they did get a check and they cashed it.
That's correct. That's correct. That's our understanding. I will confirm that again, but yes, it will.
They told me they didn't get it. So
she might not be in that loop, or
As of when? Can you tell me when you last spoke to them?
They asked me to check. When was it, Marcy? A month ago?
Right. Yeah, and that's when we confirmed. But we can, if you'd like to give me a call tomorrow, maybe we can get everybody on the phone and do a conference call or something.
Okay.
So Marcy, my question about taking this to City Council is, since the money has already been distributed, do we have to ask City Council to extend that deadline? Why can't we do that on our own? I don't think
we're not, but we're deviating from
grants. This is about grants.
Yeah, we're deviating from, is it in the ordinance? Grants?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
They're for
we're
the
not
year
deviating from anything except our own rule. It's not a City Council rule, it's ours. And they have the money.
It's not in our ordinance.
It's not in the grant.
Linda?
It's in the application. It's in the application. It says that they have to perform within
our application.
So we can do this then we can do this internally.
I think so. It's not part of the Public Art Ordinance. Grants is not.
Okay, so we'll do it internally. Yeah, Joe?
Can I make a suggestion? Perhaps each can reach out to their grantees and have the grantee write us a letter requesting an extension?
That seems like a long way around to me.
It is, but it puts everything in writing.
Why can't we just give them till June 1st next year? It's been a 3-month delay. We'll give them 3 months to get back on track. It's into the summer.
Yeah. We've already reached out to them, and they've responded in writing.
Right. And if we give the extension, we write the letter. One letter to all of them saying, we have given you this extension. We don't have them write the letter. We write the letter.
I think it's a much cleaner way to do it.
Yeah. All right. Do we
for all the ones who need it? Sure.
I like 3 months.
Like I can speak to my grantee, the Beatrice Wood Center, and they right away when they got the money, they started in January having the weekend family art events, and they continued up until
March 17th.
Yeah, and they were planning on doing them every weekend through the end of the year, and they want to fulfill their obligation to provide that number of activities. That number
So,
of.
look, so the people who have received the grants, they're going to want to receive grants in the future. It's not going to be in their minds. It may be in the minds of one or two of them, but it's not going to be in their mind just to take the money and not do anything with it. They're going to want to fulfill. They're going to want to fulfill the obligation because they're going to want to apply again in the future.
Yeah.
So it just seems to me that we make it easy on them. We make it easy on us.
Yeah.
That we don't have any paperwork to track. We send out if we can agree. We'll pick a date. June 1st seems like a reasonable date to me.
That works out perfect. Yeah, that's good, Nigel. That works out well with the timeline for the grants process, which, by the way, we're going to start up again. We'll start up again. I think the applications will go out in July for 2020. Linda?
It won't work for my grant because that was Bravo and that was with the schools. So they're not in session. I'll get in touch with them and see what they say, but they were running it, through the schools, the Bravo programs, and it was going to be a summer program. So I don't know. I will get back in contact with Gina and see.
Maybe they could do a spring break, Linda. Maybe they could do a spring break.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. What they originally wrote up.
Right.
I don't know how they'll have to adapt it, but
right.
So should I go with? So should I go with them to the idea that however they want to rework it, or how do you want to work that?
Pick a different date.
We could pick a different date for them.
Right.
I don't think you can pick a different date for different people. It has to be the same date for everybody.
Right.
So pick August 1st or September 1st. It doesn't matter what the date is.
Right.
The idea is that the programs are completed, but we don't really care when they're completed as long as they are completed and it doesn't contravene any rules or regulations that we have, presumably. Joe, do we have any rules or regulations that govern this?
I don't think so. As Commissioner Harmon mentioned in the application, they are subject to having the funds recalled if they don't perform. If they don't perform. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Okay. It has. But it actually has happened.
Yeah. Okay, so can we do this?
People who weren't able to fulfill their obligation, but that's why I think a letter goes from the city saying you're being granted an exception or whatever, however you word it. And like what Nigel said, it doesn't matter how long we give them. And it's, you put in there, it's due to the corona, the COVID. We want to keep everybody safe. So we're going to give you this extra amount of time.
And so the date presumably would be something that accommodates Linda's program. So that would then be any date that encompasses the summer holidays for the schools next year, but prior to the date that schools start next year. So the way that I'm looking at it, it's a simple one. Find out what day the school is due to start in 2021. And the day before that is the day that everything has to be completed by. Does that make sense?
It does. And now I'm wondering, as you're talking about this, should we give an option in that letter that if they feel they cannot fulfill it, so they know they have to return the money?
Absolutely.
Should we put that in the letter in the case that you feel you cannot do this, even with the extension, you need to return the money and then a date for that? That would be Joe. That would be something you would add. Is that a good idea?
I think so.
I kind of like Joe's idea where he sends out a thing saying, I don't know. I would think that it would be better for them to tell us if they could perform or not, and we would approach it that way.
They would respond to the letter, I'm sure, in that way if they can't do it. But at least the letter says they have that option.
Yeah, that's essentially what Commissioner Golden just said, is that you've got until X date to complete the task. If you don't, then you need to return the funds. I don't see a problem there.
Yeah.
What date were we picking again?
Depends on when
the date is largely irrelevant, but to accomplish what Linda's grantee wants, that was a summer program. Presumably, that was to be completed before school starts this year.
Okay.
So it seems to me that in order to complete that, if they also want to do next summer, then the day before school starts would be the day in which everything needs to be accomplished. And I don't think you should have multiple dates. I really don't.
Just pick one date. Maybe the date.
Yeah, it's easy for everyone. This does bring up an interesting question, though, in my mind at least. and certainly for Linda's grantee, is that if they want to apply for another program, do we permit them to do that?
It's going to get to be a nightmare for Joe to take care
Well,
of.
I have to. They're limited. They're limited by our own internal rules. How many years in a row they can get a grant?
Yeah, they have to take time off.
So they might have maxed out already 3 years.
Okay, so I do have a solution for this, which is always good when you open your mouth that you've got the question and the solution, right? So the solution seems to me is that these people have 2 dates. One date that is prior to the date where the next grants have to be received by the city. So if they want to apply, and if they can, by the rules, apply for the next year, then their grant must have been completed prior to that date.
Perfect.
Now, for Linda's situation, as Commissioner Golden said, they could do it in the spring if they want to apply for another one from June, right? Or July 1st. So they could actually do that. They could complete it. So we could give them 2 dates, one until the day before the start of school and one until a date that we can set that would allow them to apply for a grant the following year if they were permitted to by the current regulations that we have. That makes sense to me, but I'm weird, so I can't tell you if it makes sense to anybody else.
But the deadline for the grants, Marcy, when is the deadline for the grants? Do you have a calendar?
September. Might be beginning of September.
This year.
So they could have to
Okay,
have
so
this finished
could we then
September.
extend that date to after Easter next year?
I think that I'm on the grants committee with Marcy. So
No.
Marcy, since I'm on the grants committee with you, my suggestion will be that Marcy and I will work on
The timeline.
for the next set of grants, keeping in mind all of this discussion. Marcy, will that be a good idea?
Yeah, that works. Does that work with everyone?
We'll come
bring
back.
it back to you.
We'll come back
And we'll bring it back to you.
with a calendar.
Yeah.
When I talked to Gina last time, they didn't think they'd gotten the money and they were just going to not do it because they're huge now. They're not just Ojai. So should I get back to her first?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
don't put you through all this and see what?
Yeah.
Because they
we
didn't
need
get
to know. We need to know what's going on with yours.
Yeah. Joe, can you check into that again? Just to verify that the check was cashed and a check number and all that.
Yeah. That's all good.
And for Linda's grantee, if they didn't want to do it this year, we could just automatically reassign them a grant for next year to do the same thing. Right, that way they're not
They
getting
have
paid.
to apply. I think they would have to apply, Nigel.
It would be
Oh,
fair
yeah.
to any other perspective.
Yes, they would have to apply,
Right.
and then they would get a sympathetic hearing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think our goal always is to be sympathetic.
Okay.
Okay. I'll check with Gina again then.
All right. So we'll get a letter in the works and we'll find out about the check. You'll check with Gina. Christine and I will get a timeline together. We'll bring it back next month and go over that with you guys.
Fabulous.
Okay, that wraps that up, unless there are any other comments. Okay, paint box project, Christine.
Okay, so this is another biggie. And this one is really to support local artists. Marcy and I, who are now on the committee, the Public Art Committee, had quite a few conversations, long distance, about this. And we would like to relaunch the paint box project because that's one artist standing at a utility box painting and they can make some money. And a lot of our artists are hurting. So we would like to relaunch it and have the proposals due the last week of September and have the public art jury meet the first 2 weeks in October. And I contacted James Vega and asked him if everything goes well with the COVID, we could have socially distant masks, wearing of masks, public art jury meeting in council chambers, because you want to see the actual proposal. You don't want to do it on a Zoom. And James responded and said, yes, that's doable as long as nothing bizarre has happened between now and then. So, and everybody will understand if we had a not do it. So Marcy is going to contact the public art jury and ask them if they'd be willing to meet at City Hall in October with the social distancing, with the masks. We want to have all of you approve today that we can get that back out there with proposals due end of September. We can really support some local artists this way. And we are going to need PR, Sammy. We're going to need
I have a question. How many people have already applied? Because people have started applying, right?
No,
I know one person put it in an application.
Oh, that, yeah.
I know one person did. I don't know if any more. No, I know two did. I know of two who did. Both fabulous artists. But what we're doing is we're going to get this to OSA. OSA has contacted us and said, do you have anything you can give us for artists? So this is a way we can get back to OSA and say, yes, we want to relaunch this project, and whoever gets these bids will make a little cash. We want to get it on Facebook.
So you want to do this?
Joe, will you make a list of these things again?
Yeah.
OSA, Facebook, a blurb in the Ojai Valley News, the Hub, the city website, which I'll do that with Luis, and I'll redo flyers and get those out. I'll do that. So if there's no objection from anybody, I'd like to get working on that right away and get that. Out. So we need a vote on this.
Linda has
I have a question.
We don't need a vote.
I have a question.
Oh, we went discussion first. I'm sorry.
I have a question. So how many boxes are we doing now?
We identified 3 locations, and the reason I'm saying it that way is because one location has 2 boxes side by side.
So 4.
There's 3.
Well, 3 artists then. 3 artists, right?
3. Well, it can be a team of artists. It doesn't have to be a single artist. We'll see what we get in.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked that, Linda, because Joe, I would like you please to work with Public Works on writing a letter to Edison and Caltrans for the boxes. They have the information already. I've given it to them several times on additional boxes that we can make available in a round 2, but we can't do it until we get permission from Edison and permission from Caltrans. We've been told it takes a while. So if we can get a letter out right away, when this one wraps up, we can launch these new boxes, and they are great boxes, the Caltrans and the Edison boxes. We want to do those.
The best.
Yeah, they are. But we cannot do it unless city gets those letters written, and that's Public Works. I offered to write them, and Greg Grant said he wanted to do it. So it's fine with me. It hasn't happened.
Speaking for staff, I'd rather you wrote them, at least drafted them. And I'll put them on city letterhead and I'll sign them for you.
No, I'm not going to do it. I do so much for city and I'm not being paid. I'm not going to do this job for city. This is the city asking for permission, not the Arts Commission. The city asking for permission to have these painted on. It comes from the city. They can write it. I'm like spent.
Don't you have somebody else? Who else is on
I'm
your
not
committee?
going to write.
Who else is on your committee that could do it?
Me and Nigel.
Marcy. It's me and Marcy right now. Because
Nigel.
Would you like me to write the letter?
Linda, back in, oh God, when was it? Almost a year ago, when this came up, and I spent a lot of time with Greg Grant on this, and I said, would you like me to write the letter? And he said, no.
Well, let's go to Greg Grant.
That's what Joe needs to do. I said, work with Public Works.
You know what? He might know technical things that need to be mentioned or whatever. You know, we don't know that stuff.
He knows the exact locations, the number of the boxes, all that.
Yeah. Let's let Greg do it.
But he's got to be pushed to do it.
Hang on, Joe.
Yes.
Do you have all that information, or can you get all that information?
2-part question. I do not have all that information. Second part is I don't know.
You can get it from Greg Grant.
If you can get that information, and I am apparently on this committee, get me that information. I'll write the damn letter, and I will send it to you like you just asked for.
I don't think.
And then you can and then you can.
I think
Greg Grant wants to write this letter. I offered to write it. He said, no, it's coming from Public Works. He just needs to be tickled to do it because all this stuff has happened since that conversation.
I'll
it was dropped. Writing this letter was dropped. Joe needs to talk to Public Works. They've got the list of the boxes. They've got photographs of each box. They have all the information. It's just a question of someone nudging them. So thank you.
I'll nudge Greg too.
All right, so I can't nudge Greg at the moment because I've been nudging him for the past 3 weeks about something else.
Okay, well, yeah, we don't want you to over nudge him. No.
I'm nudged down.
Okay. Nudge that guy.
All right, so that's our action.
Once he gets on it, he's great. He's fabulous.
Okay, so we're done with that.
So we need a vote to for all of you to agree that we will launch the paint box project anew with the September date proposals, October public art jury, then it will come back to Arts Commission for final approval.
All right.
I propose.
I second.
You so move?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, the next thing, Christine, I'd like you to discuss what's happening with the Public Art Ordinance, or what you would like to have happen with the Public Art Ordinance.
Yeah, okay, Public Art Ordinance, a document that you often have to take a vote on and would behoove you all to become familiar with. We want to add language, and we need your permission to do this. Joe and I and Marcy have talked about this at length. We want to add language that gives the committee to approve public art. It's called CAPA. Nigel, you're on that committee now.
I am.
Temporarily, until we have a new member of the Public Art Committee. You're on it.
I know.
Yes, you volunteered with the last
Yes,
meeting.
I know. I said I know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I was ready to go to the meeting last week and it was cancelled.
You're going to have a meeting soon.
Oh, can't wait.
We want to add language to the ordinance, which means it has to go to City Council. We can't do it on our own.
Right.
We have to present it to City Council, but we first need you guys to be okay with it. And that is that CAPA could give a temporary building permit to someone asking for a waiver or someone who has what I call a boilerplate presentation. There aren't any exceptions. There's nothing untoward going on. The reason for that is the way we do it now, we have to hold up construction until the Arts Commission meets and City Council meets, which puts us at a great disadvantage selling this program because we're asking builders to lose money. But by giving them a temporary building permit pending approval by the commission and, if needed, City Council, they can go forward. And we've had, in the years I've been working this is what happens more time than not, is that we kind of give them, boy, this is being recorded, right? But under the table, permission to go ahead and not lose money. We've just said to them, do what you have to do, but why not put it in the ordinance and make it something that is legitimate? Now, City Council might not go along with it, but I hope they do because, as I said, it's such a disadvantage for us to have to say to developers, sorry, you're going to lose thousands of dollars because of this public art program.
I have a question.
Linda, yeah.
I thought the reason it was done that way was so that there would be a plan before the building permit was approved. I thought you said that you wanted it to be integrated into the project, to be integrated, and that's why it was done that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. The project would be approved, or a waiver would be approved through CAPA. CAPA would do all that. But then right now, after CAPA recommends, they give approval, they recommend to the commission to go ahead with this, and you guys rubber stamp it at the next commission meeting. Joe has to figure out how to plan the CAPA meetings so that the builder won't have to wait a month for the Arts Commission to meet and City Council to meet, which costs them money. So it isn't about prior to the recommended approval. It's at that meeting where we give, let's say it's the waiver to make it a little simpler. We say, yes, we're going to recommend that you get a waiver to the Arts Commission, who will then vote to recommend that to City Council. They have to wait until those meetings occur, and they're losing money while they're waiting for those meetings. So we want to give them a temporary building permit so they can go ahead, because it's just a rubber stamp.
So Linda, if I
Never outvoted us and said we don't agree with what CAPA has done. Remember, there are 3 arts commissioners on CAPA.
Right. I got it now. You're saying, I got what you're saying. Okay.
It's hard.
So as I understand it, you just want a boilerplate for them to fill in, and then we don't have to worry about it, right? Simple as that. I agree to that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
If you vote, Joe and I will work on the language. It will go before City Council. They might not approve it. They might say, no way, Jose, but we could try.
I propose it as so.
But that's why we had meetings, right? Was because somebody didn't get the approval ahead of time and they had to wait. We had an extra meeting. Remember that came up a couple times with the inn because they didn't get the thing.
Yes, that's
approved.
exactly right, Linda. Yeah.
And this would eliminate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They went ahead anyway and did what they were doing because they're over there. No one's looking down their neck. And we knew they had gone ahead. But this would legitimize it.
Let's not turn people into criminals. Let's turn people into law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, did you have a comment? Joe?
I was just going to clarify, there is something called a conditional building permit versus a temporary. Temporary makes it sound like
that works.
That works
for me.
A conditional. We're issuing the permit conditionally upon this other work being done in the near future, and we could tie those together.
Well, it's not conditional upon the work being done, Joe. It's conditional upon the Arts Commission approving it. And
that's the work.
In some
the condition. That's
the council approving it. So it's conditional upon approval.
Correct. And it's not that unusual. We're talking about it in the context of art, but sometimes a conditional building permit is issued with relation to street improvements, which might be coming down at a later date. Some other agency, a fire department approval or something. We can issue permits while that other thing, whatever that other thing is happening.
Yeah.
Seems to me it's saving time. It's cutting through red tape and it's allowing people to get on to do what they want to do, which they're going to do anyway, right? So where's the harm?
Correct. And there is precedent.
It's friendly.
In favor?
Wheels.
In favor?
It greases the wheels and it makes it possible for Joe to schedule CAPA meetings and not have to be worried about, oh, there's an arts commission, but it's not until then, and there's a city council. He can just schedule those CAPAs.
I think we all said yes.
Linda, do you have a comment, Linda?
We all said yes, I think.
Okay, so
vote.
Christine and Joe will work on the language and move it forward.
Okay.
Can we vote on this, Marcy, please?
We'll take a vote. Would someone like to make a move that Christine work with the city staff to develop a language to modify the Public Art Ordinance relating to CAPA procedures to enable CAPA to recommend conditional.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Period. That's good. You got it.
I so move.
I second.
Okay. We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Passes. Christine will get to work on that.
All right, and then there's a second thing for the Public Art Ordinance, and that is another place where we want to add some language to the ordinance. And we want to add into Article 2 language. This has to do with the Mural Ordinance, which we're about to take to City Council, in order to make sure that private development or public development that chooses a mural project knows that there is now Article 3 murals. We want to add a sentence. We found the appropriate place that simply says, if their proposal is a mural, they have to abide by the Mural Ordinance guidelines for aesthetic purposes, blah, blah. So if we could also have your approval to add that language, we'd like this all to go to City Council at the same time.
I so move.
Second.
Discussion.
I so move.
All in favor?
Discussion. You have to ask for discussion. They had her hand up.
Nigel? Comment?
I have no discussion.
Okay. So
Linda,
there's
you had your hand up. Did you have a question or something?
No, I was just saying I so move.
Oh, okay.
And then someone seconded it.
That was me.
Nigel seconded. Okay. Let's vote to move forward with language relating the modifying the Public Art Ordinance to include a
Article 2.
condition that would require any public art project that happens to be a mural to have to comply with requirements of the Mural Ordinance. All in favor? Aye.
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 Right.
Fabulous. Thank you guys for giving me the next jobs that I have to do.
Okay, it looks like, yeah, Christine got a
Joe.
big to-do list. And then the last, well, we're almost there. Future agenda items. I'm looking for any ideas or things that you would like to add for a future agenda. Christine?
Yes, could we discuss at the next meeting whether or not, because people aren't going on vacations, we could have a special meeting in August. And I would like to do something that James Vega and I talked about doing for 3 years, which is to have a review of the Public Art Ordinance so that everybody here knows what it is. And there's a good reason that you all should start to figure it out, because I'm going to be stepping down
Oh, there's news.
soon.
Well, soon is a very interesting sentence.
October.
So I would like that to be an agenda item if we could please discuss an August.
And then
session.
it would take how long? A little mini training program about the Public Art Ordinance.
15 to 20 minutes.
So we can add that to the agenda, talking about it then. Anyone else have anything that, like Nigel?
I do. If you will have looked inside those packets that Joseph so kindly sent, you will see an initial discussion document for the music festival thing I've been talking about.
Yeah, that definitely is going to go on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty long. I don't need to talk about it. It's an initial discussion document. It's just the initial thoughts and basic ideas. So if you would all like to have a look at that, send me any questions that you have in between now and the next meeting. Then I can prepare my answers for them for you at the next meeting.
It's you put a lot of thought into it. It's
Yeah.
really great. Everyone read it, digest it, and it'll be on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, it took me 5 minutes, but don't worry. It didn't. But anyway, so if you can have a look at it, make any comments and observations, there's no ego involved in this. So the main thing is to get the concept correct and then try and move it forward in the most appropriate manner and make sure that it has longevity, no matter how long we're here, each and every one of us. And I'm not happy about October, by the way. But nonetheless, any questions, kick them over to me.
Okay.
All right, and Joe, that includes you as well, because I'm reasonably certain that there's some stuff in here that impacts on the city, which I may have broached, but I just don't know the answers to.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Linda, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say, as far as the date goes, I would double check that with the city calendar. Did you go through the city calendar already and see if there's anything scheduled? Because I know the Lavender Festival is sometime in June, and I don't know when it is. Isn't it?
It's usually the second week in June, I think, or maybe the first week
so
in June.
you've already looked at all that. Okay. I thought it was really impressive. So, okay, I'll look at further now that I have the attachment.
Yeah, I mean, the date is always open to a conversation. It just makes sense to me to piggyback on the music festival, either pre-piggyback or post-piggyback. That just makes a bit of sense to me. Just on an organizational level and a financial level. So anyway,
I think it's just terrific.
Any other ideas?
Proposal.
You can always, you know what, if there's plenty of time, you can always email me with something you'd like on the agenda. Okay, Joe Fiss is up with our staff liaison reports.
So I'm sorry, one more thing. I don't know if I was clear. Can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, please?
Yes, I have it down. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
For June, okay. Music festival in June, and then ordinance training in July or August, or do you want it in August?
Is anyone planning on going away in August?
No, but I do think that's something we should be talking about at the next meeting as well.
All right. Well,
Okay.
we'll firm up a date.
Okay.
next month.
Okay. Okay, in terms of projects subject to the public arts requirements, the,
Have we moved on to the staff liaison report, Marcy?
We're on
yes,
that now.
she did, yes. Marcy stated that, yes.
Okay. I didn't, oh, she must have been on mute. Didn't hear that.
No, I heard her.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay. The 601 Pearl project has not proceeded yet. That's the 9 townhomes where we authorized payment of the $26,000. Other projects which have not, the other project of note, is the Shell station that Christine mentioned earlier. They are working on a project with the valuation of at least $12,500. There's really nothing else moving forward at this point.
Well, I have a lot to say about the report, so when you're done, let me know. I have questions.
Oh,
Okay.
and so we don't forget about it. If we could put on here as something to watch, maybe a new category, keep your eye on. So stuff going on at the Oaks.
Oh, okay, that's a great idea. I'll add a box for the Oaks, just kind of a holding.
Yeah, like
We have one, the Bryant Circle, Bryant Street self-storage. So Oaks Hotel.
Okay, so I have some questions, Joe. Is this okay? You ready for those?
Sure.
Okay, so I don't know if you all have this document in front of you, but Bryant Circle, the cannabis manufacturing facility, it
Correct.
says the valuation has been issued. And I've heard nothing about a contact with those folks, so I'd like to.
They paid. That was one where we authorized them to pay.
When did we do that?
Oh, January,
we granted them a waiver.
Is that $6,000 on the budget sheet? $6,397?
If not, it should be.
All right, so we gave a waiver for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it should say waiver approved by city council?
Yes. I'll note that.
And that's in the status of public art box. It should say waiver approved by city council and the date, and it's got to go on the budget report for the public art fund as well. That's another error on the budget report. So there's an additional $6,397.72.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not on here, Christine. It's not.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be added. That's exactly what I'm saying, Marcy.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. And moving on down, it says project being reviewed by planning commission, so we can drop to the next one. A waiver was issued for that on 12/12, but the status doesn't say that. And the status should indicate that the waiver is finished. And the same thing with the one.
Can you tell me which project that I'm trying to keep up here? Hold on.
I know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down. Or 4th line down.
The Ojai Valley Inn. The Ojai Valley Inn.
Ojai Valley Inn and Spa, that is in the public art fund. It was deposited. The waiver was approved. So status should say that.
Okay.
And the one right below it, same thing. The money's been deposited. The waiver was approved. The box set status should say that.
Great.
Then you've got the Capri, and we know that that's a thing going on. Then right below at the very bottom of the page, the Casa Robles interior, that waiver was granted. And there it says what all the other ones should say, deposited in public art fund and the date. But all those other ones need to say that too. Okay, and then on the second page, sorry, but guys, we have to get this right. It's so important, the public art fund, that it's like an endowment that we manage this endowment fund. So we have to make sure the books are exactly right every time. The Ojai Valley Inn and Spa barn and farmhouse is complete. Matilaha Street was finalized, and it says that there, that's good. Drop down to cottages among the flowers. That's an outstanding project. It's been an outstanding project for a long time. That's Becker.
That's correct.
And now you go down to Pearl Street. Now, we have been waiting since August of 2018 for them to deposit that $26,166.08. A letter needs to go from city to Pearl Street. It's almost how many years?
Almost a couple years.
2 years. And there's no pressure on them. They owe us this money. So Joe, I will ask you to follow up on that, please. It's like not a good thing.
Yeah, they have not proceeded. They have not proceeded with that project at all. So,
but they have to give us. They owe us that money, and it's been 2 years since we granted them the waiver.
So they didn't pull a building permit.
They have not pulled a building permit at all. They have not submitted. In other words, if the permit expires, if they decide not to move forward with the project, which could happen. They could choose to not go forward with that project.
Joe?
Yes.
So I'm sorry. I still think that we need some kind of communication with them so we know what's going on, because we have this as an outstanding credit on our public art fund.
That's correct. And just as an FYI, I do communicate with them frequently on the status of their project as a whole, and they are aware that that is part of that responsibility. So that
are they talking about perhaps not doing it?
They have, I believe they have other internal issues that they're trying to resolve.
That money should be in escrow for us. And then if they don't do the project, we return it, not the other way around. City council granted this waiver and they were expected to deposit that money immediately thereafter.
And how can they do that if they haven't pulled a building permit?
They have at the time they did.
No, they have not. They have not pulled a building permit.
They never pulled a building permit?
They have not proceeded. The project was approved, the waiver was approved by the Arts Commission, and they did not proceed with their project.
So Marcy, why are you saying that they're not pulling a building permit has anything to do with them depositing the money? I don't get the connection.
Because if they don't have a building permit, they're not going to build. So this is moot. The money for public art is moot.
Yeah, until they start building.
So Marcy,
they need a building permit for that.
You're saying that the deposit of the fund should happen when they pull the building permit, not when they're granted the waiver?
Right.
Correct. Because typically,
part of the fees.
I think we need to look at the ordinance. I think we need to take a good look at the ordinance. I believe that once that waiver is approved, they're supposed to deposit that money. And then if they don't do it, we give it back. Linda?
It doesn't make sense to me, because it's all predicated on the fact that they're going to, if they build, they want a waiver, they want to be granted the waiver, and they were granted the waiver, and they haven't pulled the papers to build anything yet. And until they do, they don't need to pay anything.
Nigel?
Yeah, I'm supportive of what yourself and Linda have just said. I don't see there's any funds due. I have a different question though for Joe. Joe, this estimate was based presumably on figures of over 2 years ago and possibly 5 years ago. That means that the estimate will be incorrect by today's numbers. Sure. So that number is irrelevant. So it needs to be redone.
It should be pretty close, but that, Nigel, you're correct. We would, when they come in to pull the building permit, there will be a construction valuation.
Are they going to have to go through the public art process again if they do that?
No, they
automatically get a waiver because they got it.
Well, as long as it goes, I would suggest that as long as it's within a range.
Right. I respectfully request a meeting with you and James and me and Marcy to talk about this, because this bears on the ordinance, and we've never had a situation like this, and we have to figure out how to do it.
That's correct. And if I could just give a little background on a lot of these projects, they typically go by funding, and they would not have even the money for this deposit until they receive their construction loan. Once they get their construction loan, they would pay the waiver, pull their building permits, and proceed with their project.
Right. But now we have a whole nother situation, which is all this time has elapsed, and I think what Nigel said is right on the money. we don't know what the allocation will be if they do go forward at this point. It could be less, it could be more. So we need to find out how to manage this and what the ordinance is really pointing us to do. Are they pointing us to say, we granted the waiver, deposit the money in escrow? Or because that's what the ordinance says. It doesn't say, wait until the building permit is pulled and then deposit. So we need to straighten it out. And I would say the four of us, let's have that conversation, come back and let everybody know how it's going to work.
Sure.
It's a sticky wicket.
I think that's a good place to leave it right there. If you guys have your meeting.
Yeah, so all of this, of course, impacts the next handout that you got, which is the Public Art Fund. And Joe, I've sent Joe now an update on that. It is not correct. We just found out, for example, Brian's Circle hasn't been put on there. The debits for our allocations, it's not clear. If I left, nobody could track what happened, and that's not good. So we're going to come back next month with a report that you all can look at and see what you have done and what you have committed to out of your Public Art Fund, because you manage that fund. It's not managed by the city. They can't touch it. It's a really unique thing that is owned by this Arts Commission. And so we all need to know what it is.
Okay, I think we know what our next steps are there. Does anyone have a comment? Any commissioner? Linda, do you have any comments you want to add to tonight? Yes.
Great to see everybody. And I'm amazed that we've made, I mean, I'm really thankful that we've made it this far, and I'm thankful to the city for keeping us all safe. And I'm glad we all are part of Ojai.
Yeah,
because we all care about it.
Here, here. Nigel.
We're lucky.
Nigel, any last words?
Over and above asking Joe to please ensure that my name is spelled correctly by staff, I would appreciate that. Joe spells it correctly because I know when it comes from Joe and I know when it comes from somebody else. I'm not really overly bothered by it, simply because it's happened my entire life, but it would be nice.
Is it correct on the roster? NIGELCHISHOLM?
That is the correct spelling.
Okay. Okay.
Over and above that, I absolutely understand Commissioner Golden's problems with the budget. And Joe, I don't know if there's, and the language of what's going on here, I don't know if there's specific language that needs to be used and how that is updated and who's responsible for it. But I do think that needs to be gotten a hold of somehow.
Absolutely.
But I do understand also that there are far more important things going on, especially at this time. But I think over time, and certainly before October, we need to get that sorted, because Christine's dead right. It's she's been carrying that bucket of water on her shoulder for a long time.
It's all in here. And, we need it on here.
Yeah. So as somebody who isn't always detail oriented, I'm a big picture guy. Then it helps me particularly to see things down, and I can understand them and put them into my big picture stuff. But we need the people who are detail oriented and the people who are big picture to be able to work together. And I know that it drives detail people crazy when they can't see things that they need to see. And for people like me, the big picture people, we don't even know it's missing. And so we have to have it there for everything to make sense to us. I apologize, I haven't got the Lifetime Achievement Award stuff sorted out, but as I said, we'll have that sorted out on the agenda for the next next meeting, whether it's Zoom or whether it's in person, separated a little bit more. I will, Joe, if you can please get me Gay's number so I can call her myself.
It's already been emailed to you.
Yeah, thanks. And just to reiterate two things. The first one, if you can please go through line by line that music festival initial discussion document and get back to me. And I really want to harp on this point and really push it hard. Sammy really needs to get a much better backdrop for the next scene.
I need an artist. I need an artist. That's what I need.
Sammy, you look beautiful no matter what you're standing against.
She's talking to me. Thank you.
I had my monthly shower especially for this. So.
So, I want to say it's just
Saved.
to see everybody.
Christine, comments from Christine?
Yeah, I do. It is. It's fat. I don't see that I'm lit up. Okay, there you go. It's just great to see everybody's faces. And I just want to, what Nigel just said, I just want to remind everybody that if you're going to comment on his document, that you have to do it through Joe because of the Brown Act. You can't send it to him directly, but you send it to Joe, and Joe.
Yeah, you could. You just couldn't copy everybody else on it, right?
No, I think it's best if it does come through me, because we need to be careful about what's called a serial meeting. If two of you are speaking to each other, according to Brown Act, there's no problem. But if Nigel speaks to each of you individually, that could be a violation of the Brown Act.
Okay.
So I can work directly.
Joe, and he'll send them on to Nigel. Blind carbon copy.
Okay.
It's all because
I know a lot of us are new and don't always track that Brown Act stuff, which is just, I'd like to throw the Brown Act out the window. I hate the Brown Act.
I'd like to find that Brown guy. Is that Governor Brown?
If you are going, I have a couple other things, Joe. If you are going to redo the roster because of the spelling, would you please, for things that go in the handbook, would you just automatically 3-hole punch those pages for us?
Sure.
We can stick them in our handbook. And I just want to remind everybody that the reason we started a handbook was because we wanted to save the trees. And so instead of having, I can't find that, would you print another one? We were printing all this stuff all the time. We said, let's have a handbook and keep everything in there. And it's a 3-hole punch kind of deal. So, and then Linda, while you were talking about City Gallery, an idea popped into my head that maybe there's a way to do virtual City Gallery. You can invite people to.
Well, we talked about that, but
just a
we
thought.
talked about that. Hopefully, well, we used to have like a little on the old website. We did have a page that had what the show was and a blurb about the author or the painter or whoever was showing, and a representation of their work. We did have that.
Yeah,
it was archived. So I don't know. We'll see if that.
We should have that again.
That committee anymore.
I think it would be really cool to have that. That's something else that could be announced at a city council meeting, that the artist that you can't see because you're not here, you can go to the website and see that artist's work. And that'd be nice for the artist to know that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was nice when we did it before.
All right. Sammy, any parting words for us?
Any parting words? Just, it's very nice to see everyone. We live in Ojai. We're very lucky.
Yeah.
And carry on. Let's carry on.
All right. So with that,
Marcy, I forgot something that's really important. And that is, I forgot it under Public Art Ordinance, and that is Joe.
Yes.
We need to get a letter to the Oaks of Ojai a month ago. That letter had to go a month ago, letting them know that as they rehab, they cannot touch the public art there. We are so overdue alerting them. It could be a disaster if they start to tear down the RTK tile works there. Please, I'm begging you, can we get that letter out next week?
Yes.
Thank you.
Nigel.
Just one thing for those of you who may not know, it's Sammy's birthday on Monday. So happy birthday, Sammy.
Oh,
39 again.
Happy birthday to you. Come on, everybody. Happy birthday
To you. Happy birthday, dear Sammy. Happy birthday to you.
We should all have a commission teeny next time.
Okay.
We should all put ourselves our own commission teenies and then I see we're all working on one. That's hilarious.
And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Yay!